Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, friends and foes alike, welcome back to the Second Age Show. I'm your host today, Varking Runesong, and look at my esteemed colleagues on this panel today. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, starting with Hen. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Lakitia, introduce yourselves to everybody who doesn't know you, who doesn't watch the show all the time.
Hello, I'm Lakitia, and I'm the biggest fan of the Thinking Fox.
And Kyle, can you top that?
Yeah, I mean, great to be here, especially with Amazon Puppy Fake Merch Dwarf Lord. Really great to have you here today. And yeah, we're looking forward to diving into some of these cool bits of info we've got.
I just got done reading.
Pop me up.
You're welcome.
You sucker.
You're welcome.
We just finished reading the Silmarillion before this stream started.
Yes, yeah. We've been brushing up on our Silmarillioning. So
enough fun harassment, guys. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We've got a handful of exclusives today, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you the first exclusive, which is on one of the sound stages, there is a Numenorian temple set. Whether this is the Melkor worshipping temple is unknown, but it is said to be one of the bigger set structures we've seen, per our sources. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Because it's not Dwarven, so I don't think I should lead.
First of all, I don't think we know for sure whether this is a proper temple with, undisputed religious function, or whether this is just like a temple-like structure. But just to discuss both options, in letter 153 to Peter Hastings, Tolkien said, "There are thus no temples or churches or fanes in this world among good peoples. They had little or no religion in the sense of worship." Yeah. So one place he does describe is the top of the mountain, the Menel Tarma, or Pillar of Heaven, was dedicated to Eru, the One. So apart from that flat top of Menel Tarma, I believe there shouldn't be any religious structures, buildings in that sense, in Numenor. And it certainly seems much too soon for us to be seeing the Templar of Melkor. So I don't think we'll be seeing, much of Sauron this season at all, much less see him brought back to Numenor and have the time to establish the cult, etc. So my opinion is that this is something else that looks a lot like a temple, potentially. What do you guys think?
I agree, I think so, because more so than just what Tolkien expresses in the letter, in his prose, there is nothing really like a religious ritual. The closest would be Faramir and his men stand up and look west before they eat or something. That's as far as it goes, really.
Well, dwarves had babies named Durin.
Yeah,
true.
Dwarves, they do say a lot like "Durin be with you" and that sort of stuff. That's also it's close, but it's not really like a ritual. You know what I mean? There's no like ritualism. There's no religion in the ritual sense, and in a way, that's kind of how we know Middle Earth. So it's I think important that there isn't religion actually. And yeah, I think it could be that the Numenorian architecture, the look in general, has a feeling of kind of religiosity to it. So things could look like temples. Which I think is, like you could look at someone who's ignorant of the topic could look at like Minas Tirith and or the something like that and think that it's a religious looking structure.
Mm-hmm. And even in the real world, like there's many structures, particularly in ancient architecture, that a person who's not familiar with would immediately speculate, well, this is a religious structure. So I think that's a very easy mix-up to make.
Yeah, I think, this is what the sources have relayed to us. There's certainly missing context. We don't know what goes on inside the structure. We don't know what the structure looks like. We're just given that, they feel that it looks like a temple. If I were to speculate that, this was meant to be the temple to Morgoth, and there's a couple ways they can go about that, and I don't really like either one of them. But it would either mean that Sauron is already on the island, which I don't like, or it would mean that they've changed that whole timeline for the temple to have been built without the guidance of Sauron, and I really don't like either of those options. I don't see them as feasible or necessary. So we'll see for sure.
Yeah.
And we looked at the images shown in the teaser trailer for Numenor and stopped it, and we tried to kind of pinpoint different buildings that we thought they could have been, and I don't think we as a group came to a consensus of this is probably the structure that they're talking about or not, because there's a couple different options, and you really don't know if it's like an indoor structure or outdoor. There's a lot of amazing looking structures, but we couldn't really pinpoint which one we felt that could have been to kind of narrow that down for
Yeah.
people.
And we didn't see all of Numenor either. We see a shot of Romena, so you know.
Which may or may not be combined with Armenelos.
Yeah. May or may not be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I think
We've
you're
talked
right.
about that before, and we can see them certainly combining different areas to condense everything. Like, I don't know if we'll ever hear the term Ostinithil, right? Like, it'll just be Eregion, things like that.
Yeah, sure. That's
I know Lakitia doesn't want to hear that, but I think that's just how it goes.
I don't.
I do
Yeah.
want to as many times as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the idea either, but I can see it happening. Your point is well taken.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure.
Lakitia, why don't you go ahead and hit us with that second exclusive?
Yes, Sir Elf. The next exclusive.
What was that?
I take back the salute.
That was high praise from me, by the way. Whatever. Can I please continue?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please do.
The next exclusive is there was a scene involving the Numenorian army leaving Numenor with the queen and her consort. Pharazon gives a speech and bids the army farewell. He remains in Numenor and purposely made it so Miriel would go to Middle-earth. Very tricksy. What do you guys think
Very
about
tricksy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've briefly touched upon the idea that because we knew that Muriel would be leaving the island to go to Middle-earth for a while. We weren't sure what the purpose was, but we definitely speculated on the idea that this could be a time for Pharazon to kind of take his position and consolidate some power. So I could definitely see that being partly what's going on here.
Yeah. I like everything that is kind of more Machiavellian kind of power struggles and stuff. I like. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And we know from Vanity Fair, for example, that a lot of the Numenor subplot is story thread is going to be that. So it makes sense to see it. It's a nice conceit. That she goes away, he uses her absence to consolidate his power, undermine her to some extent. It's a nice conceit. I like it.
One
Well,
thing that came...
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that came to my mind was that this kind of makes it seem as though Pharazon perhaps isn't a military commander, but first and foremost a politician, which, if true, would be a bit of a break from the lore. As we know, he was a commander and has even distinguished himself in the wars with Sauron, I believe. So they could still be going with their own version where he's already back from the wars in Middle-earth. But given that Sauron's return is not, very well known at this point, that would just mean that he's been fighting the orcs. So it's not like a Numenorian offensive against Sauron or anything.
Yeah.
And I also think that the purposely made it so Muriel would go to Middle-earth. I think that's a really interesting formulation. It makes it seem as though her departure was in fact, a result of his scheming, which I'm not too sure I'm happy about.
That's the point that I was going to bring up. As a dwarf in our society, there's not a ton of political drama like this. So I was wondering if somebody could explain to a dwarf who doesn't follow up on human and elf dramatics, why would Pharazon want to purposely make Muriel go to Middle-earth? Like, why is that happening?
You know when you're a kid and you wanted the cookie jar and your parents won't allow you, so you wait until they're not home? That.
Lovely analogy.
Right. Right.
Just wants the
all
cookies. I mean,
all
who
the
can blame?
best analogies are food analogies.
Yes, that's the
We'll remember that when it comes to the depiction of the dwarves.
No, but I think that's exactly it, I suppose he's gonna be presented as this sort of a scheming figure who's probably trying to, sneak a little bit of sneak into the power or something like that. I don't know if his purpose just yet is to overthrow Muriel or just to consolidate a little bit of power on his own. But I would think that would be the purpose. Maybe, if she's going to war, people also die in wars. And if they stay close to, him being her cousin, then perhaps that makes him the heir to the throne. So it could be some
Oh,
calculation like that.
Yeah, that's interesting because if Muriel goes to Middle Earth in season 1, and if it is the case that Pharazon's consolidating power and usurping the throne while she's there, what did they do with her in season 2? Right, like what purpose does she serve?
my logic would be that it would make sense for the actual coup, not to happen until she's back, because that's just more dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Alright.
just allows for him to have more one-on-one and like intimate time with everybody else in Numenor to continue to plant the seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
think so.
I think that's more to
That's
the
what I
point.
think. That's what I think it's more likely. Not that he's trying to dethrone her, but just that he's trying to build himself up a little bit, which in a way he already is, because I think we've heard that he's supposed to be the advisor to the queen. So I think
The right
effectively
hand, yeah.
yeah, right hand to the queen. So effectively he's already second in command, but maybe he's just trying to gain favor of the noblemen, etc.
Yeah.
To help gain allies.
Yeah. I
future
think so
plans.
too, and I think that the next exclusive kind of speaks to that a little bit. I don't know if you want to take that away, Hen.
All right. The next exclusive is while Muriel is on the ship to Middle Earth, a scene takes place in the throne room. A massive crowd of noblemen and ladies has gathered, and there is a slight panic. Many nobles from the crowd address Pharazon with grievances, but Pharazon isn't really able to calm the crowd this time. He ends up fleeing and getting chased out of the throne room. Interesting.
Yeah,
Dramatic.
it is interesting, dramatic. You have to kind of see this as are these people, is this the beginning of, the Kingsmen kind of thing, and are these people complaining that the queen is leaving to go help elves, or what is it that their grievances are exactly?
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like his plan is semi-backfiring on him and not going
Yeah.
according to how
Partially,
he
yeah.
would hope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it may be played in such a way that it happens, and especially if, as we were saying, his goals at this point aren't very nefarious, could make you it could score sympathy points for him.
Yeah, it's like if Fellowship
guy.
hops off this video chat before we go live, and then we're bashing him, but we're all having a good time. It's like, oh, this is working out for everybody. Plan's going really, really well. But then if like Kyle said something negative about him, and then we all turned on him, that's kind of like how this is playing out. Not that would ever happen, but if he was on earlier and left, just throwing it out there. That's sometimes it's fun to knock people when they're not around.
Yeah, I think that's a
Fellowship.
perfect analogy, actually.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's very telling that you chose.
Except it's not a food
Kyle
analogy.
to be the analogy with Pharazon. I think
I
Yes.
picked it random.
it's fine.
Nothing's random.
Nothing is random. So I just wanted to say that, like we chatted a couple of weeks ago in one of our exclusives, it seems like if he's trying to do a coup right now or not, it seems that his ascent to power won't exactly be, smooth sailing, pun fully intended, given that they're Numenorians. But I do wonder if this is an actual, if it is an actual failed coup, or if it's an issue that he isn't successful at addressing in his capacity as the queen's advisor. So it does read very, very dramatic with his flight and everything. And it did make me think whether this scene could perhaps be designed to mislead the audiences into thinking, okay, so he was trying to overthrow the queen. He was unsuccessful, so clearly he's not well suited for the task, so the threat has been dealt with. So maybe the audiences would be misled into thinking he's like a season 1 antagonist, and then
That he
he
gets
ultimately
dealt
fails.
with.
yeah, he gets dealt with, and he slinks back into obscurity in season 2 or something, only to that not happen. That
I
that
think
was
it's
Yeah, that's a nice idea. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to think about from a character development standpoint on his end, because in the previous rumor, he's great enough with his words that he can, make A, B, and C happen exactly how he wants it to go. And then here we are with another rumor, and in this one, we're saying, with his words, he's not able to calm down regular people. Or maybe it's a sign that the leadership that would have sent Muriel to Middle Earth is sort of out of touch with the general public, and that they
That's
don't feel
also
the same
possible.
as them.
That's also possible, yeah, that even Muriel and maybe even Elendil, I don't know, like are kind of being portrayed as, I don't know, it could be. It's very hard to, like, it's nice to speculate, but it's very hard to tell which one it actually is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or maybe it's literally that he's been very successful with with the general public, and not successful at all with the noblemen, which could make the general, the people, the basis, his the people who actually
Yeah, yeah,
vote
yeah.
for him. So maybe he's getting. Maybe that could also serve to make him a little bit more of a sympathetic character, as the audiences would be like, okay, this snobbish nobleman don't like him, but he has the love of the common people. I don't know.
yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of ways they can go with that, and it almost feels like it's like a hooded robe being pulled over the audience's head. And speaking of hoods and robes, Kyle, would you like to read the last exclusive?
Very smooth segue there.
That's because he's really shady. Okay.
You just say that because I'm
What?
Catholic.
Yes.
So our last little bit of information today is that a hooded and robed figure rounds up a group of innocent people and leads them into a tent, and there are said to be some potential sacrifices alongside a ritual. And I believe we believe this to be on the village set that we talked about quite a few times in the past.
Paul Bronwyn.
Yeah. Any
What
thoughts on
type
that?
of sacrifices are we thinking here?
Is this like and what type of people are being rounded up? I assume that these are the village people, so they're humans. Like, what,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
are they being taken captive? Is this a hostage situation? What's exactly going on here?
Are they jumping into volcanoes? Are they stabbing them or slitting throats? Like, what's happening here?
Marking needs to know. Come on. Tell
Because
us.
we don't do this in Dwarven society.
Sure.
Sure. Not to each other, to orcs and
And-
stuff, sure.
More confusing to me. Who would be a hooded and robed figure that would be able to pull general people over to do something like this in that area?
General people? Does it say? He rounds up a group of
Innocent people, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if
But
they're
he-
higher up, they're probably not innocent. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but my
I don't think. I think this is like to me. This sounds more of a hostage kind of a situation.
yeah, it sounds like an
Prisoners
architect
of
to
war.
me.
Oh,
So I think that could be, they attack, and then out of the people who surrendered or whatever, they choose a number and then sacrifice them. So for me, I think what this could serve to be, if these are in fact human sacrifices, which is what it sounds like to me, I think this could be a precursor to the eventual, whole Melkor cult in Numenor. So it makes me wonder if they're maybe just trying to make it seem that this has been a tradition among Sauron's minions all along, and
Which would be a nice premonition.
it would be a nice premonition, and people would know what to expect once, I don't know, Sauron gets to Numenor eventually, and he starts mentioning building a temple to Melkor, and people will know, okay, yeah, that's what he's planning to do. He's planning human sacrifices.
you guys are reporting that this you think it's from a human village, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Sounds
one of the
like it,
human
yeah.
villages could have been Bronwyn's, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
And
Yeah.
who's the elf that is in love with Bronwyn?
Arondir.
Is it possible that he is victim of this rounding
was
up of
thinking
innocent
that
people?
too, yes.
Because in the teaser trailer, you see
He's chained.
Arondir jumping with the chain attached to his leg. That would be that's kind of where my mind goes when I think about this.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that too, yeah.
But I don't know if that's. I think the teaser trailer mostly included scenes from the first episode or for the first 2 episodes. And I'm not sure if this attack on the village and the village set, I think that this is supposed to happen later on.
Hmm.
Am I
Oh.
making any sense?
It,
I get-
it would
I get what
actually.
you're saying.
I think it is Aaron. I think it is. I think it's the same as the camp we see Aaron there attempting to flee from, or whatever it is he's doing.
I will say, yeah,
Um,
that like they are specifically saying they're led into a tent, and it does look like in that scene that there could be like a tent type structure if I'm thinking of it correctly.
Yeah, I think again, I don't have it in front of me, but in
Yeah.
that imagery where he's jumped up and we paused it and took a screenshot,
Yeah.
on like the bottom right, you can kind of see like some orc faces,
Mm,
and there's definitely tent-like structures, like covering them
Yeah.
up on
Yeah.
that bottom right portion.
yeah, and it's a. You do.
If we presume that this is in fact the village set, Bronwyn's village set, I think that would be a little early because, you know, we've seen Arondir in that sort of a camp, right? And we've been led to believe that this is from episode 1 or something. And then we've seen the beautiful image of Bronwyn's, like the square and stuff, and it looked idyllic. It didn't look run down by recent war or anything like this.
Yeah,
So
but I
I-
also think the shot of Galadriel is from that village, isn't it? It looks
Yeah.
like it.
Which shot of Galadriel?
the
The
explosion
one with the
behind
explosion
her.
behind.
Yeah. I believe that.
So you think Galadriel, Arondir, Bronwyn, and I guess by proxy Theo are all kind of like in the same area at the same time?
No, I'm guessing that in the first like episode or two, Galadriel has a bit of a James Bond thing where she goes all over the place, which is a cool idea, by the way. Where she goes north, she goes south, she goes west. She's everywhere. So
Why did you leave out the east?
just because I don't know. Tir Harad is in east, right? And we see her in snow, that's north, and we see her in the ocean, that's west. We just don't know about the east. But could be. I think the camp that we see Arondir in, the environment of which looks quite arid, is not actually like that. It's not like they ruin Tir Harad and then there's that. I think they like take them outside and show them around their new place. And that could also be a good conceit as to why Arondir is even there, because it's not very close to like Mirkwood or Lorien or anything. So unless he's like from somewhere that we've never heard about before, which it could be.
Yeah.
It could be like an elf that was abducted from home.
But the attack on Bronwyn's village does not happen that early. We know that.
I agree.
Do we know that?
That's strange.
Yes, because it's been shot like sometime in the middle. In even Nazanin Boniadi spoke about strenuous night shoots
Yeah.
that lasted for a while, which we had been led to believe were probably the attack
Yeah.
filming.
Yeah,
That
it is
happened,
weird.
like,
Yeah.
That happened, I think, around. That was in, I think, late January or February 2021,
Yeah.
when they had been filming episodes like 4, something like that, three maybe 3,
Right.
but 3, 4. So I think the timeline just doesn't exactly.
Yeah.
To your credit, this doesn't mean this is the only attack. Maybe if this is like an
That's
attack of
true.
orcs, it's possible that they're trying to go to the well one too many times. We had success at this town before. Let's go ahead and get more. Maybe we can get some like elf people and try to corrupt them a little bit and build the army. There could be multiple attacks that happen at the same village.
Yes, that's true. But that picture that we've seen of Arondir and Bronwyn, that the village doesn't look like it's suffered a horrendous
Yeah.
attack. At least to me. I mean, it does look a little bit, on the old side or something perhaps, but it doesn't look as though it recently suffered, because like the trees are still,
Yeah.
they're not
I
blown
get your
down or
point.
anything.
I do get
So
your point. Yeah.
if I had to guess, I would say that, but this is speculation. I would think that Arondir's imprisonment is early in episode 1 or something. Maybe he then breaks free and then finds his way to Bronwyn's village. I don't know, for
And-
food or whatever, for aid. And then later on, they build this relationship, and then later on, this village gets attacked. Because we've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just formulating the same thing in my mind, and I was like, oh, because he went back to the village, the orcs tracked him to the village, and oh, poor village. Yeah.
Ah,
That could also.
And we
Yeah.
do see Arondir protecting what looks like Theo, honestly, from.
Oh, it definitely
I mean,
is.
who
Yeah.
would be shooting at him? You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't
Not
know.
dwarves.
Mm.
Not
Not
dwarves.
definitely not dwarves.
Yeah, maybe that's how. Yeah. I'm not sure about. I'm really not 100% sure whether the scenes from the teaser that we've seen are in fact all from episodes 1 and 2. So maybe my theory just falls apart on on that not being true, but
It is very common for teasers for shows to, let's say, overrepresent footage from early on in the season. So I think that's a reasonable assumption to
Yeah,
make.
just because they don't want to spoil. You know, a
And-
lot of
and-
times you
and
see a trailer and you're like,
yeah.
all the good parts were in the trailer. They tricked me.
It's also those parts are usually further along the pipeline when the trailer is being compiled. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything that we wanted to cover today. I appreciate everybody tuning in as always, and you know, even after we went through the recent the shilling, most of our audience has been very understanding, positive, and the chat has kept on point and been on topic. And we appreciate you guys because we dislike having to moderate the chat and having people derail it. So shout outs to everybody who is consistently in here, just making this a beautiful community and fandom. Appreciate all of you guys. And if you guys want to go around the horn and kind of sign off, let's go ahead and do it.
I want to second what Varking just said. I think the community that's grown around this channel, our Discord as well, I think it's a really, really lovely place. So yeah, thank you everybody for that.
Except for Lars, he won't stop being mean to me.
Lars gets a special shout out for that. No, but seriously, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're not changing anything, and you know,
Yeah.
overall, our audience has been great, and we really enjoyed chatting about this stuff with everyone, and that's just gonna be how it's gonna be. Really appreciate Amazon Puppy Fake Merch Dwarf Lord for hosting us today and for joining us. It's always great to have you here, and we should definitely do it again soon.
Yeah, what they said. I mean, I know I'm joking. We, like Kyle said, we're staying the same. Nothing is really changing. We just get more information, not less.
That's right.
All right. If you guys want to stay up to date on the latest news, scoops, and rumors, you know, obviously follow us on Twitter. We're heavily active there, but make sure you're tuning in every week. If you liked what you saw or heard, hit that like button. Or if you really want to mess with the algorithm, go ahead and hit that dislike button and then let other people tell us that it's like 700% more dislikes than what everybody's saying. You know, nobody wants to talk about that. I'm just putting it out there. Appreciate everybody. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you next time.